I was certainly in the market for a security camera, but this thing is freaking overkill, man. You could this is a serious security camera. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. First, before we get started, we are going to be doing a tech unbox video, but I do apologize that I didn't post any videos through the holidays. It was a time for me to kind of relax, take a break from it all, and just focus on the family and actually the holidays themselves. So I'm glad to be back in the saddle, but today, like I said, we're going to be doing a tech unbox video. We had a company called xmartO reach out to us, and they said, hey, would you like to review one of our HD security cameras? I said, sure, let's take a look at it and see what we got. So today we're gonna be unboxing their network HD camera. Excellent quality. I haven't done a ton of research on this thing. I do know it's 1080p, I know it's a nighttime mode, and it's got wired or wireless. But again, the brand is from xmartO, xmartO, and this specific one is the DZ2034. This is supposed to be their new 2020 style surveillance dome style camera. So we're gonna go through the box, see what we've got inside, see how easy it is to set this thing up, and see what it's all about. So here's the box. Again, this is the network HD camera. It does say excellent quality. The box is pretty basic. There's really not much information on here. If you go through and flip through it, it shows you some of the features of this particular camera, as well as maybe what looks to be like a diagram of the camera itself and some screenshots of what the camera looks like. And again, this is the xmartO DZ2034, which from the research that I did, it looks like this is the new 2020 dome style camera. It can be wired or wireless, support smartphone and computer, and of course it's a remote surveillance because it is a camera. So we're just gonna go ahead and crack open the box. Pretty straightforward already. It looks like they have a foam top which leads directly into the contents, and this thing is freaking massive. Look at this. I did not expect this thing to be this large. This is insane. So if we open up this bag, what do we got here? We've got the camera itself. It looks like it'll rotate, and then it does have a pivot ability. Pretty cool. What do we got for connections here? So it looks like we've got a power, we've got Ethernet, and then I'm gonna guess that's some type of power button or reset button with a cap on it that you can close that off so it doesn't get accidentally pressed. So this thing has got some solid weight to it. It is metal, which is a good thing, and from what I was reading, it is IP66, so it's not completely waterproof, but it's weatherproof, so if you put it under an awning or something of that nature, it would work perfectly fine, which is good because that's exactly what this type of camera is designed for. Looks like it's got 6 IR sensors on there for nighttime viewing, and yeah, so that's the camera itself. That thing is massive. Power adapter. We got a manual in here. Looks like there's the antenna. Looks like a couple connection types if you wanted to go through and cap it off that way. That's what my guess is. Or maybe it's just a weather, it might be a weather cover for like the Ethernet port or something. And then of course you've got a manual, and then you have some mounting hardware, some screws, and some anchors. And it looks like you mount those to this little white piece here, and then that white piece then hangs on the back like that. So, but anyway, we're gonna go through, set it up, see how it does, and then test out a few of the features of this camera and see if this camera is even worthwhile. Perfect, so this part we're gonna go through. I'm gonna show you kind of how this all sets up, and then we're gonna go through and set up the app itself. So I've got my smartphone here, and then I've got, of course, the camera, and I have a power strip, which you can't see because it's just off camera. So we've got the power cable right here, as you can see, and then we're just gonna plug this directly into the power outlet on the actual camera, and we are gonna be setting this up in the wireless form, and so we're just gonna go ahead and plug it in. Once you plug it in, it looks like it seems to want to calibrate, so it's gonna go through, it's gonna spin, and then it's gonna pivot the camera itself and kind of find its range. So now that that's done, it looks like it's been calibrated, and so I don't have a way to mount this, so I'm just gonna kind of hold it right there, and we'll see what happens here. Again, some of the features on this thing, it's got night and day, IP66 weatherproof, it's got the panning and tilting ability. Configuration mode. It has the ability to yell at you, but on that subject, it does have the ability to do two-way transmission, so it has a speaker, so you can use the app to talk with somebody that's in front of the camera, and then it has the microphone right there, which allows them to talk back. So pretty cool. Nighttime mode, it's got your IR sensors, and it does have an SD card slot that you put in the SD card. So again, I'm on Android, but you can find this via the Android or Play Store or App Store. And it's called the xmartO Smart Pixel or Wall Pixel, which you can see it right there. We're gonna download that, and then we'll click install. This is the app installing. Once it's installed, go ahead and click on open. And it's going to say allow xmartO Wallpixel to access photos, media, files on your device. Yes, because it's going to have to, in order to store them, it has to have access to that. Now, it does ask you to log in, but for today, I'm not going to create an account, especially for a product I don't know if I'm going to use yet. But down at the very bottom, it says trial, which is really nice. You can click on trial. Allow xmartO Wallpixel to record your audio. I'm going to click allow. This, of course, is based on you. But if I want to be able to use the two-way mic transmission, you will have to allow this, so I'm going to click allow. So now you can see the top right, it says here to add a new device. We're going to click the plus, and then we're going to click on the device edition. You are going to want to select your type of device. This is the Wi-Fi camera PTZ dome type. And does the camera have an Ethernet port? We're going to click yes. Please connect the device router. Okay, but I don't want to do that. So if we go back and click no, if I just click no, the LED indicator on the device is blinking. That could be found on the Ethernet port right there. So it is blinking, so we're going to go ahead and click on yes. Allow xmartO Wallpixel to access this device's location. We can do allow all the time or allow only while using the app. Again, personal preference. I'm going to select allow all the time just because if I don't use it, I'm just going to delete the app anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so it looks like it has found the device. So if I click on it, it looks like it just went back. Let's try that again. And it crashed. Okay, so let's go back into the app. So if we click on the plus up here again, we're actually going to click on scan, and it will ask to take pictures and video. We'll click allow. But now we've got a QR scanner. I did test this off camera on some of this, and it kept crashing. I've uninstalled the app and I reinstalled the app, and it just kept doing what it needed to do. So that QR code right there, we're gonna go ahead and scan it. Oh, there it go. Okay, so it found it. It scanned it. Okay, so now it shows the cloud ID, and then it shows device name, username, and then a password, and that information is right here at the top. So user is admin, which is already filled in. Password is no password. So we're just going to leave it as is for this demonstration, and we're just going to go ahead and select save. Now it says device successfully added, offline. That doesn't tell me anything. If we click on settings, nothing more. Nope, it doesn't look like it'll even allow us to add it as a wireless option. Okay, so right now, adding it via wireless sucks, because even if you were to add it manually, you can't go in and select which Wi-Fi network you want to connect it to. So what that means is you're gonna have to run a cable first, connect it via wired, and then you'll be able to go in and set up the settings to your Wi-Fi network. So let me go ahead and run a cable, and I'll be back for that. All right, so I've gone ahead and ran a cable, which you can't see, but I've got it plugged in with the Ethernet port right now. So if we were to move this, go back into the app, so it's circling like it wants to connect, but if we go into device settings, yeah, see, now that I've got it plugged in via the wired connection, I can click on here where it says change device Wi-Fi connection, and I can then choose which Wi-Fi network that I want to connect it to. And like I said, it does not support 5 gigahertz wireless networks, and so you are limited to the 2.4. So if you can use a wireless or wired edition, or wireless ability, I would definitely try that over anything else. So I'm going to put in the password for this. And once we've got that in there, I'm going to go ahead and click on save. And it says connecting up here.
Wireless settings, please wait.
It yelled at me again. It said wireless setting, please wait. And then it does say online. So I'm going to unplug it via the Ethernet cable.
Wireless password error.
So after looking at the video footage in post, I discovered that I actually unplugged the Ethernet cable too fast before it had a chance to actually send over the wireless information. So what you could do to remedy that is the connection process is still a pain, but you will want to wait until it prompts you that the wireless information was saved before you unplug the Ethernet cable. Okay, perfect. So now you can see that we've got the actual picture itself. Now this is going to be kind of a pain to hold this thing while it spins around. I am still connected via wired, and so setting up wireless right now is their app will crash when you try to set it up. Now, you can go into the settings here, the 3 bars, and you can go into the device settings, and then you can change the Wi-Fi in here. I tried that. It worked one time and then didn't work another time. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as a wired connection. In here, you've got your device type, your device version, device ID. You can have it select record audio or not record audio. Voice instructions, it'll tell you, you can choose it from Chinese to English. Device volume, you can go in and manually set the volume that it receives or that it sends out. So if you have a hard time, like somebody is at your door and they can't hear you, you can go in and adjust that volume, which is pretty cool. Motion detection management, you can go in again, set up alerts that if there's motion detection, it will send you alert and a snapshot, which is pretty cool. motion detection siren, so if it's late at night, you can turn that on. If somebody comes up to your door late at night, you can have it send off an alarm to kind of deter them. Now, of course, you want to be careful with that because in our area, there's obviously some people that walk their dogs in the evening or at nighttime. So I don't want it to go off at 11 o'clock at night when somebody just wants to walk their dog down the street and they start getting bombarded with alerts. So that's pretty cool. You can set that up. And then, of course, you can set up its sensitivity as well, as you can see through here. So those are just a few options under the motion detection management. So if we go back, you can have it set up a record schedule, which is pretty cool. So if we click on that, you can go in and you can click add. And you can set up all the different time frames, which days that you want, etc. You got the ability to go in and do firmware updates, device storage, so you can go in and format the card if you need to, or show your available balance, show your available capacity, which is pretty cool. Restart the camera. You can set up time zones, time settings, advanced settings, reverse image, video image settings. You can go in and change the videos like quality, mode, image style, so you can change the way the image looks to make sure you're getting the sharpest image that you want, which is pretty good. That's always good stuff to have. And then if you go back again, you can change aspect ratio, SD, again, light control, intercom. What this will allow you to do is when you click and hold this purple button, whatever you say into your phone is going to come out the speaker that's on the camera itself. So if I test it, testing. Hello. So you can see that we've got a meter right there showing the microphone, and then once you release it, it is a push-to-talk setup. And then once you're done, you can click on hang up. But you can also choose to select snapshot and sound and record in here. So there are a ton of different options in this app. Of course, the PTZ is to go through and move it around. So you can see if we do the pivot. So it is a pretty clear image, even with the electrical zoom or the digital zoom. This does not have optical zoom. It's just electronic or digital. Even if you were to use that, it still is pretty decent detail. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst that I've seen. So it's actually not too bad. So you can change that in there. If your camera does support optical zoom, because some of them do, those of course will be in there as well. And then you can change your manual focus as well. Speed grade is the speed of how fast the camera will move when you move it. Lens control, you can do the sound, snapshot, record, all that. I'm sorry, that's right here. So lens control is all of your electronic zoom. Turn that off if you got your presets. If you want to add a preset, you can move it to a location, set it as a preset, move it to another location, set it as a preset, and then when you click those individual presets, it's going to move to where that camera was positioned. Speed grade, again, is the speed. You have all level 1 through level 8. Going back out, again, you've got your snapshots. It's going to save a snapshot of what you're looking at to your phone, and then, of course, if you click record, it's going to record what's going on and save that to your device as well. So far it's pretty viable. Like I said, the camera itself is really good quality. I'm actually quite happy with it, although the setup process, wireless or wired, is kind of a nightmare, at least until xmartO sends an update through their app. So in conclusion on this camera, overall it seems to be pretty solid. There are a few pros and cons that I kind of want to go over that may be a personal opinion to myself. But as far as the cons go, we'll just start out with the cons. We'll end off with the pros. The antenna placement is kind of goofy. If you wanted a nice flush, really close mount to a ceiling or whatever it is that the height, you still have about 3/4 to an inch of the antenna protruding out, which means you won't be able to get as close to the top as you want to. I mean, even putting in the screws, you could have a long screwdriver that can mount it. So maybe even moving the antenna. Another thing is including with that antenna underneath in there, there is no like weather sealing on the backside here, but there are some gold contacts of the antenna itself. And so depending on your environment, you may have a lot of moisture or something that may end up causing some corrosion and may end up preventing the wireless function to work later on at a later date. So maybe just move the whole antenna assembly onto this core. That way you can run it with inside. Another thing is that would be cool. I don't know if it's necessarily a con, but maybe even just as a better design idea is maybe even have the ability to move this bracket to this side. So if you had a slot right here, you could move this cord and then secure it right along the side right here, just like it is right there. So having that flexibility would have been nice. Going through and adding the app or adding the camera in the app was painful, as you can see. No matter whether we tried the wireless or the wired edition, it would always crash whenever we would try to add it via the scan or via the discovery option. We had to go in and manually scan the QR code in order to add the camera to the app. So definitely needs to push out an update to that app that prevents it from crashing. Another thing is that because this is not NVR compatible and it is a standalone camera, the SD card mounts right here in the back instead of somewhere else. I don't know where else, but I feel like that's a terrible spot. Because if somebody wanted to get malicious with this thing, they could easily remove that. I mean, there is nothing that's preventing this from moving. They could easily remove your SD card, and I mean, granted, the app does have the ability to send snapshots and stuff if you have like the alerts or the siren set up. It'll send photo snapshots to your phone, or you can move those video footage over to your phone. Or eventually they said there's going to be some cloud service. I'm not sure if the cloud service is available yet, but they did say that you will have a cloud save ability. So there might be some pros and cons personally for you on that, but I personally think that they should remove where the SD card mounts and put it somewhere else. I don't know where else, but just put it somewhere else. As far as the pros on this thing, again, it has full 355-degree rotation. And then it also has the 90-degree pivot or the tilt, which is really cool. So you can really fine tune and kind of show where you want this thing to look. Not only that, but you do have the ability to set up presets in the app and have that camera move by just clicking on a simple preset. And then of course that also works with the pivot itself. It does have night vision, so you might be a little hard to see, but right here on the edge, you do have 6 IR sensors, which allow the camera to see in the night. And it does have a microphone right there. This does have two-way audio, as we tested, that you can send and receive audio transmission. So if somebody's delivering something, you can talk to them and tell them to leave it somewhere. As far as that goes, it is a metal frame, which is nice, which is pretty solid. The motors in it seem pretty solid. And of course, it does have the wireless or the wired ability. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but that flexibility is really nice. But be granted that if you do use the wireless option, you still do have to plug it in. So if you have the ability to plug it in and you have your router or switch or whatever it is that you're going to hook up to your network nearby, you may be able to just run both of them at the same time and get it connected that way. So there's definitely some pros and cons. The picture of this thing looked great. For 80 bucks, this does seem like a viable camera. I haven't had it long enough running to give you kind of like a real opinion on what this thing is like. But overall, out the box, on a quick review or first impression basis, this thing actually does pretty solid. xmartO, if you are watching, which I know you are, send out an update. Have your developers send out an update on that app. That way it makes the connection process easier, because right now that user experience is freaking awful. That is going to do it for today's tech unbox video. Now I know today's video was just a little bit different from what I normally do. It was a pretty bare bones recording on some simple setups and stuff like that. But as far as going through the quick and first impressions of this camera, like we went through the pros and the cons, aside from some design improvements that I think could go through, the camera itself is really solid and I really enjoyed using the camera. The problem, of course, came with the app. The app has a 2.7, last time I checked, review rating, and it shows because when you try to add the camera via the discovery option, it just crashes every time and the user experience in that app blows. If you are an advanced user, this camera may work for you because you can go in and you can scan it and set it up that way and do the advanced configurations and do whatever you need to do. So if you're an advanced user, I might recommend this camera. It's a really solid camera depending on what you're looking for. If you're a basic user and you're looking for something that just gets up and running, right now, hold off. The camera's great, but the app is not. And so for that, I would not recommend getting this camera, at least right now. I would give it some time to see if xmartO comes out with that update, making the user experience that much better. In the meantime, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share the video, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a ton of stuff tech related, but be sure to enable that bell icon in case you want to be notified of any type of future uploads. On that note, we will see you all on the next one. Peace.